Hi, I'm Rick Rheins, Senior Rabbi at Temple Sinai in Denver, Colorado. This week's Torah portion is Vayera, chapters 18 through 22 of the book of Genesis. And there's a wonderful question that enables us to wrestle with how we treat one another. So the Torah portion begins, Vayera elav Adonai. Adonai, God, appeared unto him, appeared unto Abraham. Abraham is at the opening of his tent, and maybe it's the heat of the day. Maybe he's trying to find some way of recovering from his circumcision, which was most recent. He did so at 99. And we could also say, well, no, Abraham was always at the opening of his tent because he's a gracious host. And indeed, that's the case. Abraham is at the opening of his tent and he lifts up his eyes and he sees Vayar and he sees there are three men approaching. And what does Abraham do? He runs out to greet them and he bows down and he continues, Vayomar Adonai. He said to them, my lords, please, if I found favor with you, please come. Let me find some water so you can freshen up, and I will provide for you a fat lechem. I'll provide for you a morsel for you to eat, and so you can rest and then carry on. And they said, well, sure, do so. And Abraham rushed and he provided for them not just a morsel to eat, he created a huge feast for them. But the question is that our ancestors have been wrestling with. Commentators disagree even to this moment. It When Abraham first addresses them, it says, V'yomar, and he said, Adonai. Now, is this a reference to God, who we say Adonai, the eternal, or is it Adonai, my lords? On one hand, the contextual would be he's simply making reference to my lords, sirs, please, right? Please let me be a host to you. Let me find a way to freshen you up. But because he's Abraham and he has a close connection with God, and always has, there were some commentators who said, no, no. When Abraham looked, he knew that these were angels of God, that maybe in the visage of three human beings, but he understood that they also represented God, that these were angels. So he referred then to the chief among them as Adonai. You, Adonai, I know you represent the creator of all the universe. How can I help provide for you? So why are our ancestors back and forth with it? Well, with this debate as to what Adonai meant when Abraham said it, because on one hand, the context is, well, no, these are just human beings that are coming. And Abraham responded so generously and lovingly uh, to welcome them and to help take care of them. And on the other hand, their message was from God. And these are angels who eventually will go down to Sodom and Gomorrah. And they were also the same angels who said to Abraham and Sarah, this time next year, you will have a son. And Sarah laughed. And they said, oh, you'll call that son Yitzchak. And he laughed. So I wanted to point this out, this wonderful ambiguity as to whether or not Abraham's usage of the word Adonai was in reference to God or just to distinguished visitors, because that's exactly how we should treat one another as well. When you look at another human being, not to objectify them, not to put them as in opposition to who you are and what do they want and what do they need from me and what's the angle here. But rather, when you see another human being, understand that this human also is B'Tselem Elohim, created in the image of God. Every human being, regardless of race and religion, of gender, of age, every human being is a reflection of the divine. Abraham, our the patriarch of our people, he understood that instinctively. To look at visitors, to look at even strangers, is also to see God, to rush out as he did, to welcome them and to offer them the most generous of hospitality, providing for them, the most generous of hospitality. Because he actually said, I'm going to bring some afat lechem, a little morsel. So he promised a little and he provided great. Well, what a wonderful way to treat human beings, not to offer great and deliver little, but offer modestly and deliver a great deal. Boy, our government's leaders could certainly use that lesson. So can we, to treat each other with that respect, that awe, that reverence. We say, wait a minute, if we're all of God, and this person too, vulnerable, sensitive, fragile, like all humans are, that we have that insecurity, we have that sense of wonder as to what's going to happen to me. And when you meet someone, to give them that reassurance, to give them that support, to greet them with that joy of how wonderful it is to see you, to be with you, how reflective of the most divine in this world you are, that you bring such goodness into our lives. To treat other people like that, you can imagine how elevated our world would be. That's the teaching of Abraham, and that's the message that begins this week. And just extraordinary Torah portion. It has so many other things in it as well. But it begins with, I think, perhaps the most important lesson of all, to treat each other as if we are in the presence of Hashem, of God. Shabbat Shalom.